Welcome to Rockit Garage, and if you've been following this paint series on this 1970 Ford XL, we are finally ready for paint. And I've been saying it for 6 months now that I'm a week away, and this week is the week. So anyways, if you haven't been following, I'll give you a little rundown, but if you're interested, go watch the other videos. I'll make a playlist once all this is done. We replaced this quarter from this body line down, the whole quarter, fixed some dents in the roof, fixed some dents in the doors, a little bit of rust on the wheel well on that side, and other than that, the car was super straight. So pretty much we just stripped the whole car, epoxied, body filled, super build. A couple parts got re-super builded, if that's a word, and then feather fill, and we are finally, ready. Woo! And it's hot, so don't mind the fan. All right, you might be wondering why just the A-pillars are taped up. I'll get to that in a second, but I just wanted to do a little rundown of the video I was gonna do, but never did because I was way too behind, which is all the final sand prep. Once we got the car into feather fill, I just kind of pulled the trigger on my go-to sandpaper, which is 320 on final sand. This specific primer is a little bit too hard for 320 starting out. So read the TDS. I was like, I probably should have just done that already, but I was being complacent. Anyways, read the TDS, started off with 220, 320, 400, 600, and then ran everything with a gray scuff pad just to make sure all the nooks and crannies have a scratch on it. Don't want any paint coming off, and the car overall looks really good. I'm happy with the way it turned out. And I know Kyle, he just wanted like the quarter fixed and a scuff and spray. We didn't do that, so, but we're here. So what I'm gonna do, I wanna hang the doors before I paint the body. That way I can paint the body and the doors together. That way the doors are set, I know they shut, and I know they're aligned. I don't wanna be doing that after paint. We will seal and base just this jamb right here. Just like right where the hinge goes, where it's really hard to get in there. Honestly, I've never seen a paint job where you've painted the doors on the car and there wasn't bare spots. Like you just can't get the gun in there. So anyways, I like to do the inside of the door and the inside of the A-pillar, and I'll do the hinges as well. Moving on to the doors, I just don't want a whole lot of overspray on the outside right now because it's all prepped and ready. So we're just gonna be shooting right here, and then we're gonna be getting the bottom of the door because that's always a really big miss spot too. So front right here on the bottom, and then we can hang them. I know bodywork videos are pretty boring to most people, but if you can stick with it, you might learn something, either the right way or the wrong way, I don't know. But you'll learn something, I guarantee that. Let's go through what I did from the beginning. We stripped the car with 36 and 40 grit, and then I used Nason full epoxy. I can't even tell the number on that, but the activator is 483-19, 491 something. 491-16 is the epoxy primer sealer. This is what I did to seal the car, just to make sure, because I knew it was going to be a long process. Obviously, it's been over a year to get this car ready for paint, so I wanted the metal sealed, and then we did body work and everything. You don't have to do body work over sealer. People say it, but I've done it plenty of times without sealer, and it's almost never gave me a problem. Anyway, doesn't matter. This is what I did this time. So, first round of material that went on the car was epoxy. So my goal with this paint job was not to do like the top echelon of paint jobs. I just wanted a really nice paint job with some decent product on it. So I went with Evercoat. You really can't go wrong with them, in my opinion. And if you're just starting out, this line right here, the Chromolite, is pretty good as far as best bang for your buck. The Summit Racing stuff was all right. It was just, it didn't sand as good as I think the Chromolite did. Who knows, it could be the same product, but I just feel like this was a lot better. Not as good as Rage Gold, but like 1/3 the cost. Yeah, 1/3 the cost, I think, maybe half. So body filler. We did do a little bit of fiberglass work on like where I welded the seams, and I just wanted to make sure that the seam wasn't going to crack or that it was completely sealed up. Like if there was a pinhole in the weld or something, I know you should make sure it's 100%, but come on, this is real life, not TV. Anyways, I just went to the local auto parts store, O'Reilly's, and just picked up this fantastic glass. Honestly, wasn't that bad. So kitty hair is pretty good. It's another Evercoat product, but that stuff, I was impressed. So a little bit of kitty hair, a little bit of chromalite, and then we did super build. I don't care what you do. If you're gonna paint something, you might as well, if you want to paint something and you want it at least to try to come out nice, super build. I don't care what you say. Super build 4-to-1. Grab this, it's polyester primer. This stuff is pretty much body filler in a can that you spray out of a gun. And most of the car got one coat. Most of the outside of the car got one coat. And then the hood got 2 coats. And a couple other parts got two rounds of primer. So we got the super build. So after you're done doing the super build, you're gonna be pretty close. You wanna get as close as you possibly can to straight on each step, but you're gonna miss some stuff. Don't get discouraged, and don't think this video is too boring, because if you're wanting to do this, get out of here, wind. Anyways, if you can, stick through this video and I'll show you the rest of these products. I am in no way endorsing any company, because honestly, I don't care. I've used Summit Racing stuff. I've used like Exalta, like Nason is Exalta. I've used Exalta branded paints and primers and all that stuff. I've used PPG. Honestly, it just depends on what your budget is. Paint's paint. I mean, I've painted stuff with tractor paint. I don't think that stuff comes out as good as automotive grade paint. Needless to say, I'm not endorsing any company. These are just the things I've used, and in the last over 15 years that I've been in and out of body work industry, these are the products that I have found that work pretty decent and get the job done at a price that most people can swallow. I usually go with Evercoat glaze, but unfortunately, I just thought that stuff was way too high of a price. So I just, again, same with the fiberglass, I just went to the O'Reilly's and bought this fantastic glaze. It's pretty much body filler, but it's really fine. It lays down, not very thick. You're glazing it, you're not filling it. I use this after super build. Any pinholes that pop up, any light low spots. If it's a pretty low spot, you should probably go back and try to fix it and then do body filler and then reprime. But if it's just a very low spot and it just needs a skim, I use the glaze. Where are we at now? Once you're done with super build, once you're done glazing, all your big body work is done. I am a really big fan of trying to get all of your body work and ready for paint in 2 primes. Because if you're priming more than that, I mean, sometimes it happens, but if you're priming more than that, you're really just wasting material at that point. The epoxy is just a sealer. The super build goes over your body filler. You rework all that stuff with the glaze. You should be ready for final prime. And it's kind of the way I went with this car. Evercoat Feather Fill, same product as the super build. This is another polyester primer. I kind of got away from all the 2K primers just because of like 2 factors. You're really not supposed to wet sand polyester, so I'm kind of done wet sanding stuff because 1, it's messy, and then 2, you're introducing moisture back into the thing that you probably just fixed rust on, and then you're gonna seal it up with paint. I know everyone does it, or at least probably 50% of people who paint stuff do it, but I just I went away from wet sanding I love this stuff or anything polyester because it's hard. Once it's set, there's no shrinking or very little shrinking. 2K, if you put it on too much or too thick, it will crack, it will shrink, and sand scratches will come back. So those are my big takeaways from polyester. You're done with priming. Now you final sand and do all that stuff. We are moving on to sealer. Now we're only doing the jams, remember that. I went with Nason pretty much across the board on the top coat for this car because I wanted to stick with one brand. And this is, I've used Nason in the past and I've used Axalta, and it's pretty much the same stuff, just a lot cheaper. So this is mid-grade. This is not like Summit brand, $30 a quart paint or sealer. I really like this stuff. Non-sandable sealer. Anyways, I just rambled on there for like 14 minutes. I'm gonna cut all that out, but Select Seal is what we're going with. As far as the base coat, I had this mixed up at the paint shop. Full base, dark Highland green, and it is from a 2003 Bullit Mustang, which is an awesome color. So this car is gonna be looking like a bank robber's car, which is exactly what I wanted, and I think Kyle wanted too. So it's supposed to be a bad guy car. Select Clear 465-00. This is a high solids clear. I don't really like the clears that most people use as far as collision repair, like the European clears or like a lower VOC or stuff like that. High solids clear is literally, I mean, it's in the name. It's got more solids than it does solvent, so you don't get as much flash off, and it's harder, which makes it harder to buff, but it does make it harder to scratch. And I think it lasts a little bit longer than the European clear. Like a lot of times you'll see them flaking off, burning off from UV. So I go with high solids clear. You do what you want. I enjoy this stuff. I think it works pretty good. All right, let's shake it up. Honestly, this is a good thing it's raining. It was about 100 degrees in the shop, and now it's about 85, which is perfect. Spray and sealer, just doing the jams. There's one medium light coat. This is going to seal everything to one color, and then also seal up any scratches that want to come back through the base. The hinges, you're just trying to get them as best you can. I mean, there's not a whole lot there that you can do. Mid Highland green, sorry about the lighting. My shop sucks. I guess it's better than being in the dirt though. Did 3 coats on everything. Slap at the base. That's all you need. Nothing crazy. Just enough to get the hard spots. Hinges. Full coverage. This color is dark too. I mean, you can almost barely tell it's green. Unless you're in the sun, which is pretty cool. Plus, who doesn't like a Bullit green? Well, we got the doors on. They fit pretty good. Body lines, gap, pretty fair. And this is what I was getting at. It's very hard to get in there with the gun when the doors are on. Then we've got the cowl, seam sealed. And then we have the inside of both door jambs, seam sealed, where the factory would have done it. This gap looks pretty good, body lines. Then we got the taillight panel in quarter, seam sealed. Got a couple little pinholes in the trunk where we just kind of put a little seam sealer on it. Wasn't totally worth redoing. Taillight housings are 600, ready for paint. I just got to clean them off, obviously. And then the big bummer of the day, I found a couple rust bubbles. So I drilled through, even though I had killed all the rust on the backside. It's just so hard to get in between the two layers there without cutting it apart. We're gonna do our best. I just filled in these holes I drilled, and then I'm gonna grind them, touch up any pinholes that are left, grind them again, and hopefully they don't come back. Well, this is Friday, trying to tape up and mask everything so I can paint on Saturday. It's turning out pretty good. Got it wiped down once. I'm just going to wipe it down probably 3 more times before it's all over with. It's been sitting a while, so we're getting it done. If you're ever wondering how to mask up a trunk, I usually cover all the taillights and lights and trim holes. I do that first, and then I make this grid pattern. That way the paper doesn't want to keep falling in, and you really can't get inside it. You know, you can do the middle, but once you get to this edge, you can't get behind it to push it down. I do this grid pattern, and then I lay, this is the sticky side, up, and then I lay a piece over the one that goes under, because sometimes the tape will want to just fall. So this kind of holds it together, and then you can just lay the paper down. And there you go. Weather turned out perfect. It was about 80 degrees in the shop. Gonna do some spot sealing. I know you're really not supposed to do 2 coats, but I'm doing like a half coat on anything that was burnt through just a little bit. Don't want anything coming back. I had a couple spots that were a little burnt through. They weren't really worth repriming, so you're only supposed to do 1 coat of the Select Seal. But I did a real light first coat on those bare spots, and then I'm going to do 1 full coat on the whole car. Hopefully it's right. Here we go. Starting with the roof, I'm trying to get a spray pattern down. That way I know how the overspray is going to leave the shop. I don't have that great of ventilation, so I'm trying to plan it out as best I can with each coat. That way when I get to the clear coat, will hopefully be good. Roof, then the doors, roof, then the jambs, then we're going to start with the outside of the car. Look at that. Being very mindful of all of my patterns to try to mitigate any type of rework. I really just want the car done. Least amount of work as possible, even though we've already got 250 hours into this thing. And I actually mixed up just enough of almost all the material. I'm getting a pretty good eye for how much real estate I'm covering. She done. Give that about 45 minutes. See, I'm using the tack rag to get any type of overspray or dirt that's accumulating on the car while it's just sitting there. Which, there was actually a lot of overspray that landed back down on all the panels. And here's some base. Getting the fan pattern down. Again, going with the roof first. I'm actually going with like 85% coverage on the first coat. Normally I try to get about 50% coverage, but I wanted to really hammer down on this coat. Getting the cow. This color actually covers really good, which I was surprised with it being so dark. Doing under the rockers, trying to get as much coverage. You know, like my fan setup, it's pretty jank. Actually worked pretty good for the small stuff, but once I started hammering the clear on, it did not have the CFM it needed. And I ended up not shooting any of the other coats just because it really didn't change much for camera wise. I'm just going to roll right into clear coat, which I'm using my Sada Jet 4000. I don't know if you can tell, but the pattern isn't where I wanted it to be. I was running wide open on the tip, on the fluid and the fan. And then I realized right about here that the gauge got knocked down to like 20 psi, so I ran it up to about 39. And that gun loves air pressure, so now we're actually moving along. Starting to become a fog machine in there. Oh yeah. If you don't have yourself a Sada Jet, damn, you need one. That's one full cup. Already had one mixed up, so I'm just changing cups. Moving along. This car took 2 full cups, which is just a little less than a quart, to get around the whole car. I only put 2 coats because I accidentally miscalculated the hardener for the clear. Didn't have enough, but it's got 2 thick coats on it, which is enough to buff out any dirt, debris, nibs. But if you really wanted to give this thing a full buff and
polish, then you probably want to flow coat and do another 2 coats over it. But it's totally fine for a daily driver. Dun 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 dun.
Well, I gotta admit, for doing it in a barn, didn't turn out too bad. Car's pretty straight. Finish came out pretty decent. Orange peel is pretty good. I like it. This is the quarter we replaced. Looks pretty good. A little bit of trash. I mean, I did it in a barn. A little bit of dry spray. You can see it right there. Just because I don't have good ventilation, so the overspray kind of laid back down on top. Door jambs came out great. I don't think I can complain at all. Body lines look good. Said overall, pretty sharp for a barn job. I did get a run right here, but I used the tape trick and put some tape on it and got the run out. So now it's just a little bit of texture, and that'll buff out easy, pretty easy. I mean, it's pretty shiny. Hola. So I did have a booth lined up, but I recently started a job and I'm doing this on the weekend now. So the timeline really does not fit to go take it to the booth, put it on the trailer, take it there, clean it, tape it up, get it painted, unmask everything, and then bring it home. I just decided to do it in the barn, and I think it turned out fine. Overall, really happy with it. But I think that's going to be it for this episode because I'm sure this is going to be pretty long. I've just been compiling all the footage and I don't even know how long it is yet. So hopefully it's not crazy long, but hopefully you enjoyed seeing this car get sprayed. I'm probably just going to do all that stuff off camera and then we will put this car together and maybe I can convince Kyle to do a burnout. See y'all.